I left Mom to starve. Dried sweat, rotten food, fermented trash, cigarette smoke, dust. The mixture of odors overwhelmed my nose. I had to take a step back, gagging. Once I filled my lungs with fresh air from the outside, I took a step in. "I'm home!" I called. I left my sneakers by the foyer. Mom's boots were there, gathered among the shoes of siblings long gone. I peeked through the hall and into the living room. It was a mess. Not even the dark could hide the collage of trash, clothes, and empty meal boxes. There was a tricycle next to the couch, tiny and colorful, though children hadn't inhabited this place in almost a decade. Mom had covered the windows with aluminum foil and newspaper. No light bulbs, no lamps. She said light gave her headaches. A lantern was needed to navigate the apartment. Or a smartphone. I found Mom sulking in her bedroom, curled into a ball and covered by duvets. "What took you so long?" Mom's voice was high-pitched and with a well-developed vocal fry. It resembled the creakiness of a rusty door hinge. I lowered my phone light. "I told you I went to Emma's bachelorette." "You didn't tell me a thing. I stayed here to starve." A sigh got stuck in my throat. God forbid I let it out in front of Mom. Or worse, what if I sighed and then explained to her I bought her a weekend worth of pizza and ready meals, with my money at that? Would I survive that? "Are you hungry?" I asked. "Of course I am." It gave me an excuse to leave for another room and encounter yet another frustration. All over the kitchen laid the aftermath of my weekend off. Pizza boxes and plastic containers were scattered across the counter. One of them remained inside the microwave, half-eaten. There were no offerings left for Mom, as she'd eaten them all. "I'll go to the store to buy you something," I called. "Will you abandon me again?" She accented every syllable with spite. "I'll be back in an hour." If I had used a bike, the trip to the convenience store would have been 20 minutes. That also meant less time filling my lungs with clean summer air. As I walked, I ruminated on how wonderful and how terrible the sense of smell was. We cannot close our noses like we close our eyes. How inconvenient is that? If I wanted to stop smelling, I also had to stop breathing. There's another way, though. If we smell something for long enough, no matter how pleasant or disgusting, the brain mutes the scent. It took me a lifetime to grow accustomed to the smell of Mom's apartment, and only a weekend off to find it unbearable again. As I entered the supermarket, I quickly glanced at the yard section. They sold garden furniture and flowers and grilling equipment. I grew up thinking no one ever bought those. The gas tanks reminded me of a fun fact. Methane does not have a smell naturally. The characteristic rotten eggs odor gets added to it for safety reasons. That way, an individual can detect a gas leak before the whole building goes kaboom. The phone vibrated in my pocket. It was Emma. "Hey," I answered, searching through the ready meals. "Ready to go?" Kalevi answered on the other side. I moved the phone from one ear to the other. Although it was impossible for Mom to be around, I looked over my shoulder. "I can't do it," I said. Kalevi took a deep breath. "Tarya, listen, you need to get out of there now. Now." I grabbed some meatballs and potatoes. That would do. "I can't. Mom needs someone to take care of her." "What are you even saying?" When upset, Kalevi spoke slowly and accenting every word, just like Mom. "I'll be fine. It's Mom. She's an odd person, but she's not evil." "Are you listening to yourself?" He screeched on the other side of the line. It piqued the microphone. "I don't appreciate you yelling at me." I was on the shopping line. Only 2 people stood in front of me, but this was a minuscule town. Everyone knew everyone's faces. What if they heard Kalevi losing it over the phone? "And what do you want me to do?" At least Kalevi lowered his voice a little. "You're speaking nonsense. She ate Niina." "She didn't," I scoffed, then lowered my voice to a whisper. "Naina ran away with her boyfriend." "You saw it. You saw it happen. What are you talking about?" I envisioned Kalevi pulling his hairs out. "It was a nightmare. Seek help. I mean it." I placed the ready meal and an energy drink on the treadmill. And Mom needs help and compassion. That's the only way she can get better. "You're not helping her. You're feeding her." The products reached the hands of the cashier, a sign to end this senseless call. "I need to go back home. Talk to you later." I hung up with Kalevi mid-sentence. I packed my purchases and walked back home. Him screaming caught me off guard. It hurt a little. We had a great bachelorette together. Unlike Mom's house, Kalevi's was clean and sleek, with plenty of sunlight and even one of those little robot vacuums rolling around. I was happy to see him doing good despite everything. I was happy to see him, period. None of the other siblings gave us that grace. They left home to disappear. Kalevi said, "They didn't leave. She ate them all." But he didn't feel like talking about Mom, much less in front of his wife. She believed he was an orphan. I shook off the memories of our weekend together, left them at the door, along with the prospect of fresh air. One deep breath, and I was ready to go back to Mom. As I microwaved the meal, I realized I'd forgotten to buy something for myself. Too late to go back to the store, however. I went to sleep hungry. A bad idea. Hunger always brought nightmares. Hungry Mom always brought nightmares. In darkness, I awoke, my body unresponsive and my mind hazy. It happened so often, and yet I never got used to it. Panic kicked in as usual. No matter how much I begged in my head, not even a finger would move. Even my eyes stayed glued on the same spot. I was trapped in my own body. Some light from the midnight sun bled through the window. Usually a blessing, the light now delineated Mom's terrible form. She watched from the ceiling, her eyes glistening in the darkness. Her floppy belly, product of almost a dozen childbirths, drooped above my immobile body. Her saggy tits dangled atop my head. Both elbows pointed towards the floor unnaturally. They were backwards. She resembled a spider. Slowly, Mom crawled down the wall, closer to the headboard. The drywall cracked as she buried her nails and toes onto it. Soon, I felt her sparse hair tickling my forehead. I tried to scream, but my mouth remained shut. My lungs wouldn't breathe faster. My eyes refused to shed tears. My whole body remained still, like the corpse I'd soon become. Niina never had a boyfriend. I once saw her kissing another girl at the lake, and I saw how Mom crawled to her bed that night. Mom looked like a crocodile wearing a human suit, her arms and legs bent uncomfortably at impossible angles. She opened her mouth wide, impossibly so. I heard the crack as her jawline popped out of its sockets. I saw how she sucked onto Niina's scalp like ice cream, then nibbled it. She crawled further into Niina's bed as she swallowed her head, then her neck, then her shoulders. She pushed forward, her breasts, her hips, her thighs. Only Niina's ankles and feet dangled out of her mouth. Mom gargled, struggling to consume the last bits of Niina. Her whole body contracted as she swallowed what was left of my older sister. I was next. I felt Mom's breath next to my ear. Warm and humid, it stank of cigarettes and acid. She gently pushed my face to the side. You left me to starve. She punctured a hole in my neck, the one that never healed. I always said it was a birthmark. Immobile, helpless, stupid. With no other option, I waited until she fed herself. In my head, I promised. Never again. Never again I'll let this happen. Never again I'll leave Mom to starve. She needs me.